So we're now going to look at the Nazi Party's rise to power. So this is 1928 to 1933. So remember that bit I talked to you at the beginning, the 1930s, about how everyone's lost their jobs. That's in the middle of Hitler's rise to power. In 1928, Hitler's Nazi Party were a small, insignificant party. So no one had heard of them really. They didn't really matter. They weren't particularly powerful. They enjoyed little success in elections. So they weren't winning anything, they weren't. You can name our parties that you hear about. They're a little tiny party who really aren't having any luck at the moment. By 1933, Hitler was the Chancellor of Germany. So he has risen to power. He's got more influence. He's the Chancellor of Germany, the whole country. The Nazis had risen from obscurity to power. Total power. So they are in charge. In not many years, 1928 to 1933. It's 5 years, isn't it? That's quite a lot. So if you think about those statements at the beginning about what kind of person Hitler was, you read those statements, you all wanted him as your leader. So imagine if you were people in Germany who were hearing, look at him, I like walking my dog, I love my view of the mountains, I'm a vegetarian, I don't smoke, I don't drink, I do all these fantastic things. Don't you want me to be your leader? You all said yes, didn't you? So can you see how even though now we know what Hitler was and did was some of the worst atrocities ever to happen, when he rose up, and lots of children will think, well, why did he ever get to power? Who let this horrible, horrible person lead a country? Why did people vote? Well, they weren't voting for that person we know now. They were voting for the person that was shown to them then. Okay? And, he obviously was made out to be, and made himself out to be, this absolutely fantastic person. Imagine, we talked about that 1930 statement of being no jobs, money's not worth anything, you haven't got enough money to feed your family. Would you not go for someone who was going to give jobs to people? Would you not go for someone on those policy statements? Some of those, you probably would ignore most of the other ones because you're like, they're not important, they don't matter to me. But those ones that matter to you, he was promising those to people who had no jobs and no money. And he was like charismatic, and he seemed like a nice person. I'm not sure. I think I maybe would have voted for him at that time. What about you? Yeah, if you think no, because you didn't know what he was going to do. We look back at what happened, and that's how we learn our lessons, and we don't think that happened again. But at the time, they didn't know that about him. So what you're now all going to do in your books or on paper is you're going to summarise using this question. Why might some people believe that Hitler should be trusted as a leader? So you're looking at what you've just done for the policies. You're thinking about what happened in the 1930s or what was happening in the 1930s during his rise to power. And you're thinking about those statements at the beginning about what he portrayed himself like as a person. It doesn't mean that's what he was really like, but people can pretend to be something they're not very, very easily. And the people around them are fueling those, say, yeah, he's brilliant, he's amazing, he's really kind, we go walking the dog together, he really wants what's best for our country. You're going to be persuaded, aren't you, to agree with him, because you've got no money, you've got no job, you've got no food on the table, you want the country to get better, you need someone who's strong and going to push those policies forward to get people jobs and get people nice homes. Okay, so this is what you're going to be writing.